Namo Narayana, welcome back. We are continuing our walk through the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Today we are going to finish part 3. And let's see. This is all one section. It's rather long, so I'll just jump in and keep my comments to the end. So this is part 3, section 9. Sorry, it's in Roman numerals and they're not my strong suit. So, part 3, section 9. Then Vidagya, the son of Sakala, asked Yajnavalkya, "How many gods are there, Yajnavalkya?" Yajnavalkya decided it through this group of mantras, known as Nivid, saying, "As many as are indicated in the Nivid of the Visvadevas, 303 and 3003. Sakalya said, "Very well. How many gods exactly are there, Yajnavalkya?" 33. Very well. Okay. How many gods exactly are there, Yajnavalkya? 6. Yajnavalkya, how many gods exactly are there? 3. Very well. How many gods are there exactly, Yajnavalkya? 2. How many gods are there exactly, Yajnavalkya? 1.5. All right. How many gods are there exactly, Yajnavalkya? 1. Very well. Which are those 303 and 3003? Yajnavalkya said. These are but the manifestation of them, but there are only 33 gods. Which are those 33? The 8 Vasus, the 11 Rudras, and the 12 Adityas. These are 31, and Indra and Prajapati make up the 33. Which are the Vasus, Yajnavalkya? Fire, the earth, air, the sun, heaven, the moon, and the stars. These are the Vasus, for in these all this is placed. Therefore these are called the Vasus. Which are the Rudras, Yajnavalkya? The 10 organs in the human body, with the mind as the 11th. When they depart from this mortal body, they make one's relatives weep, because they then make them weep. Therefore, they are called the Rudras. Which are the Adityas, Yajnavalkya? The 12 months are parts of a year. These are the Adityas, for they go taking all this with them. Because they go taking all this with them, therefore they are called the Adityas. Which is Indra, and which is Prajapati, Yajnavalkya? The cloud itself is Indra, and the sacrifice is Prajapati. Which is the cloud? Thunder. Which is the sacrifice? Animals. Which are the 6 gods? Fire, the earth, the air, the sky, the sun, and heaven. These are the 6, because all those gods are comprised in these 6. Which are these 3 gods, Yajnavalkya? These 3 worlds alone, because in these all those gods are comprised. Which are the 2 gods, Yajnavalkya? Matter and vital force. Which are the 1.5? The air that blows. Regarding this, Yajnavalkya, some say, since the wind blows as one substance, how can it be 1.5? It is 1.5 because through its presence all this attains surpassing glory. Which is the 1 god, Yajnavalkya? The vital force, Hiranyagarbha. It is Brahman, which is called that. He who knows that being whose abode is the earth, whose instrument of vision is fire, whose light is the manas, and who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs, knows truly, Yajnavalkya. I do know that being of whom you speak, yes, who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs. It is the very being who is identified with the body. Go on, Sakalya. Who is his deity? Nectar, said Yajnavalkya. He who knows that being whose abode is lust, whose instrument of vision is the intellect, and whose light is the manas, and who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs, knows truly, Yajnavalkya. Ah, yes, I do know that being of whom you speak, who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs. It is the very being who is identified with lust. Please, go on, Sakalya. Who is his deity? Women, said Yajnavalkya. He who knows that being whose abode is colors, whose instrument of vision is the eye, whose light is the manas, and who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs, knows truly, Yajnavalkya. I do know that being of whom you speak, who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs. It is the very being who is the sun. Go on, Sakalya. Who is his deity? Truth, said Yajnavalkya. He who knows that being whose abode is the ether, whose instrument of vision is the ear, whose light is the manas, and who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs, knows truly, Yajnavalkya. Ah, yes, I do know that being of whom you speak. Oh, yes, who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs. It is the very being who is identified with the ear and with the time of hearing. Go on, Sakalya. Who is his deity? The quarters, said Yajnavalkya. He who knows that being whose abode is darkness, whose instrument of vision is the intellect, whose light is the manas, and who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs, knows truly, Yajnavalkya. Ah, yes, I do know that being of whom you speak, who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs. It is the very being who is identified with ignorance. Go on, Sakalya. Who is his deity? Death, said Yajnavalkya. He who knows that being whose abode is particular colors, whose instrument of vision is the eye, whose light is the manas, and who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs, knows truly, Yajnavalkya. Ah, I do know that being of whom you speak, who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs. It is the very being who is in the looking glass. Go on, Sakalya. Who is his deity? The vital force, said Yajnavalkya. He who knows that being whose abode is water, whose instrument of vision is the intellect, whose light is the manas, and who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs, knows truly, Yajnavalkya. I do know that being of whom you speak. He is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs. It is the very being who is in water. Go on, Sakalya. Who is his deity? Varuna, said Yajnavalkya. He who knows that being, whose abode is the seed, whose instrument of vision is the intellect, whose light is the manas, and who is the ultimate resort of the entire body and organs, knows truly, Yajnavalkya. Ah, I do know that being of whom you speak, yes, who is the ultimate resort of the entire body of organs. He is the being identified with the sun. Please, go on, Sakalya. Who is his being? Prajapati, the father, said Yajnavalkya. Sakalya, said Yajnavalkya, have these Vedic scholars made you their instrument for burning charcoals? Yajnavalkya, said Sakalya, it is because you know Brahman that you have thus flaunted these Vedic scholars of Kuru and Pakshala. I know the quarters with their deities and supports. If you know the quarters with their deities and supports, what deity are you identified with in the East? With the deity, the sun. On what does the sun rest? On the eye. On what does the eye rest? On colors, for one sees colors with the eye. On what do colors rest? On the mind, said Yajnavalkya, for one knows colors through the heart. It is on the heart that colors rest. It is just so, Yajnavalkya. What deity are you identified with in the south? With the deity Yama, the god of justice. On what does Yama rest? On the sacrifice. On what does the sacrifice rest? On the remuneration of the priests. On what does this remuneration rest? On faith. because whenever a man has faith, he gives remuneration to the priest. Therefore it is on faith that rests. On what does faith rest? On the heart, for one knows faith through the heart. Therefore it is on the heart that faith rests. It is just so, Yajnavalkya. What deity are you identified with in the West? Oh, with the deity Varuna, the god of rain. On what does Varuna rest? On water. On what does water rest? On the seed. On what does the seed rest? On the heart. Therefore do they say of a newborn child who closely resembles his father, that he has sprung from his father's heart, as it were, that he has been made out of his father's heart, as it were. Therefore it is on the heart that the seed rests. It is so, Yajnavalkya. What deity are you identified with in the north? With the deity Soma, the moon and the creeper. On what does Soma rest? On initiation. On what does initiation rest? On truth. Therefore do they say to one initiated, speak the truth, for it is on truth that initiation rests. On what does truth rest? On the heart, for one knows truth through the heart. Therefore it is on the heart that truth rests. It is so, Yajnavalkya. What deity are you identified with in the fixed direction above? Oh, with the deity fire. On what does fire rest? On speech. On what does speech rest? On the heart. On what does the heart rest? Your ghost. When you think the heart is elsewhere than in us, then the body is dead. Should it be elsewhere than in us, dogs would eat this body, or birds tear it in pieces. On what does the body and heart rest? On the prana. On what does the prana rest? On the apana. On what does the apana rest? On the vayana. On what does the vayana rest? On the udana. On what does the udana rest? On the samana. This self is that which has been described as not this, not this. It is imperceptible, for it is never perceived, undecaying, for it never decays, unattached, for it is never attached, unfettered, it never feels pain, and never suffers injury. These are the 8 abodes, the 8 instruments of vision, the 8 deities, and the 8 beings. I ask you of that being who is to be known only from the Upanishads, who definitely projects those beings and withdraws them into himself, and who is at the same time transcendent. If you cannot clearly tell me of him, your head shall fall off. Sakalya did not know, and his head fell off, and robbers snatched away his bones, mistaking them for something else. Then Yajnavalkya said, Reverend Brahmanas, whichever so among you wishes may interrogate me, or all may, or I shall question whosoever among you wishes, or all of you. The Brahmanas did not dare. He asked them through these verses. As a large tree, so indeed is a man. This is true. His hair, its leaves, his skin, its outer bark. It is from his skin that blood flows, and from the bark sap. Therefore, when a man is wounded, blood flows, as sap from a tree is injured. His flesh is its inner bark, and his tendons its innermost layer of bark, both being tough. His bones lie under, as does its wood. Its marrow is comparable to its pith. If a tree, after it is felled, springs again from its root in a newer form, from what root, indeed, does man spring forth after he is cut off by death? Do not say from a seed, for it is produced in a living man. A tree springs also from the seed. After it is dead, it certainly springs again from the seed as well. If someone pulls out a tree with its root, it no more sprouts. From what root does a man spring forth after he is cut off by death? If you think he is ever born, I say no, he is again born. Now, who should again bring him forth? Knowledge, bliss, Brahman, the supreme goal of the dispenser of wealth, as well as of him who has realized Brahman and lives in it. And thus ends section 3. I'm going to withhold comments because this is going to be a long video if I start rambling. Thank you so much for joining me, and I have fur from my cat on my finger. All right. Until next time, with or without fur.